All right, hi everyone, welcome on board. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fine. Today we talking about the Russia-Ukraine war. By the way, भाई मैं अपने नोट्स ले रहा था, पर मैं अकेला नहीं इस सेशन के अंदर, आपको मिलवाऊंगा थोड़ी देर के बाद. बहुत सारे IIM कॉल गेटर्स हैं यहाँ पे, IIMT गाजियाबाद कॉल गेटर्स हैं और बहुत से लोग आज डिस्कशन करेंगे. आज मैं जब सेशन ले रहा था तो भाई इतना अमेजिंग टॉपिक हो गया, मैंने बोला व्हाई डोंट वी एजुकेट एवरीवन. होप यू गाइस आर डूइंग एब्सोल्युटली फाइन. शुरू करें सेशन. इफ यू गाइस कैन हियर मी प्रॉपर्ली मुझे बताइए. और भाई 10 नवंबर को रशिया ने बोला कि हम वॉर करेंगे, ठीक है. लोगों ने सीरियसली नहीं लिया. दूसरी खबर आई कि 28 नवंबर को 1 लाख ट्रूप भाई यहाँ पे आ चुके हैं. एंड और मिड और जैन के अंदर जस्ट अ सेकंड, हाँ, तो मिड और जैन फेब के अंदर अटैक हो जाएगा. वो भी कुछ नहीं हुआ. बाइडेन ने पहले ही वार्न कर दिया, मतलब ये सब यूएस को पता चलना शुरू हुआ कि भाई अगर तुमने कुछ किया तो इकोनॉमिकली अपन पंगा लेंगे इसके साथ, ठीक है. और 16 फरवरी को डिसाइड हुआ, खबर आई कि रशिया ने अटैक करने वाले. मीम बनने शुरू हो गए, 16 फरवरी को कुछ हुआ ही नहीं, 16 फरवरी कुछ हुआ ही नहीं. बट चाइना ने रशिया को कन्विंस किया ओवर न्यूज एज वेल, एंड कि भाई जो करना है ना ये बीजिंग के ओलंपिक्स के बाद करना, वो हमारा जो इंटरनेशनल इवेंट चल रहा है तो उसके बाद करना. तो 20 फरवरी के बाद 21 फरवरी को खबर आ गई, अटैक शुरू हो गया. बाय द वे, रशिया वर्सेस यूक्रेन आज हम डिस्कशन करने वाले हैं, बट मेरे साथ बहुत सारे लोग और भी जुड़े हैं. लेट मी जस्ट मेक यू मीट ऑल दीस पीपल. हाय एवरीवन, इफ यू कैन स्विच ऑन योर कैम्स दैट बी नाइस हेल्प. और देखते हैं तुम लोगों को मिलवाता हूं. ऑलराइट, ग्रेट. हाय उत्कर्ष, वेलकम ऑन बोर्ड.
हेलो सर, हाउ आर यू?
वो बहुत ही बढ़िया. ओके, हाय रिंदम, वेलकम ऑन बोर्ड.
हाय सर, हाउ आर यू डूइंग?
बहुत ही बढ़िया. तू फटाफट कोट पहन के आ गया ना, पहले नहीं पहना था तूने.
हाँ सर, मतलब थोड़ा डिबेट का फीलिंग भी आना चाहिए ना.
Alright, so joining in. Hey Srinjoy, hi Abhishek, hi Soumyadeep, and hi Radhika, and hi Somjan.
Hi sir, hi sir.
क्या बात है, मतलब स्ट्रेंथ बिल्कुल वही है MBA वाली, एक लड़की और बाकी सब लड़के.
Perfect.
बहुत ही बढ़िया. Okay, quick update to all of you people who are listening to us. We got Utkarsh, I am Cap College, NMIMS, MBA. NMIMS convert है क्या भाई?
Yes sir, convert हो गया.
अरे
Congrats man.
Congrats. अरे तेरा CAT भी 98 है ना कुछ? 98.
Yes sir, 98.
Verbal 99
99.7.
अरे क्या होशियार आदमी. गुड गुड. अरिंदम नंदी, आई एम लखनऊ, MBA IFT IIT बॉम्बे. क्या पर्सनल, क्या कैट का?
Sir 97.3.
97.3. क्या इंजीनियर, नॉन इंजीनियर?
इंजीनियर जनरल, the worst combination.
The worst पर लखनऊ कॉल है बेटा. क्यों? अब तो गाली मत दो यार, अब तो गाली मत दो.
सर कन्वर्ट करने दो पहले. कॉल है, कन्वर्ट करना है पहले.
भगवान करे हो जाएगा, भगवान करे हो जाएगा. हे Srinjoy, आई एम काशीपुर है, IIMT गाजियाबाद है, ग्रेट लेक्स है, 4 है, LBSM है. हे Srinjoy, क्या चल है?
Hi sir. I'm doing well. How
Good.
are you?
तेरे को देख के वो फीलिंग आ रही रिपब्लिक टीवी वाली, वो एक बंदा होता है ना.
Out of good sir. मैं उतना चिल्लाऊंगा नहीं.
India wants to know.
क्या बात है, क्या बात है. अभिषेक गुप्ता, आई एम भाईजाग, बोध गया, जम्मू, IIMT गाजियाबाद, IMI और NMIMS. NMIMS कन्वर्ट है क्या भाई?
नहीं sir, not yet.
अरे नॉट येट. ठीक है, चल इंशाल्लाह हो जाएगा. नेक्स्ट इज चैटर्जी, लखनऊ, बैंगलोर और कैप, NM बॉम्बे, IIT बॉम्बे, IFT. क्या बात है चैटर्जी, हाउ यू डूइंग?
I'm doing good sir.
अरे चैटर्जी वो शांत किलर लग रहा है डिबेट के अंदर, पता नहीं क्या करेगा. लेट्स विल डू दैट. हे राधिका क्या हाल है?
I'm good, sir.
क्या हुआ, कौन सी कॉलेज राधिका तेरी?
CAP, IFT, IMT, and SIBM, Bangalore and Hyderabad. 4 IMI and Great Lakes.
क्या बात है. एंड सोम जानवे, आई एम शिलोंग, कैप और एग्जाम भी IIMT का. हे सोम, क्या चाल है?
है sir.
बहुत ही बढ़िया. चलिए भाई शुरू करते हैं. आज तो मैं तो कम बोलूंगा भाई, तुम्हें सिखाना आके. मैं बस एक स्ट्रक्चर सेट करता हूँ. एंड टुडे हमारे बहुत सारे लिसनर्स, आई थिंक कितने लोग आ चुके हैं भाई, सुन पा रहे हो तुम लोग? शुरू करें. आई थिंक 84 पीपल आर वाचिंग अस. हाँ भाई अरिंदम, पहले इनको लाइक ठोको यार.
गाइस कम ऑन, एक लाइक ठोक दो. रात 12 बजे हम लोग रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर अभी चल रहा है, डिस्कशन भी चलेगा, मगर लाइक हमेशा ठोकना चाहिए पूरा. वॉर के लिए नहीं, वीडियो के लिए. क्लियरिफाई.
वॉर के लिए, वीडियो के लिए. भाई हम क्या डिस्कशन करने वाले हैं? वी गोना टॉक अबाउट द वॉर. यूक्रेन क्या है, रशिया क्या है, एक हमारा मैप है, कहां तक आर्मी पहुंच चुकी है, विल स्पीक अबाउट दैट. इंडिया का क्या इफेक्ट होने वाला है. मोदी जी, एक अखबार में मैंने खबर पढ़ी है, मोदी का फैसला मानेंगे पुतिन जी. वो हम हंस सकते हैं, हम सब MBA स्टूडेंट्स हैं, बट एनी विच वेज, जबकि मोदी जी क्या कर रहे हैं, क्या नहीं करने वाले, उसके बारे में डिस्कशन करेंगे. लेट्स बिगिन. भाई कुछ स्टेक होल्डर है इसके अंदर. पहले तो अरिंदम यार, ये NATO फैटो क्या चीज है, प्लीज लोगों को बताओ. व्हाट इज दिस NATO ऑल अबाउट?
So the NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So basically it was set up right after the Second World War to contain the sphere of influence of USSR. The Russia, like as we all know, before it disintegrated, it was the Soviet Union, as we all know. So basically the underlying bedrock or the underlying theme of NATO is the Article 5 of its constitution or its article or its pro forma, which says that if a country attacks any member of NATO, then it will be considered as an attack on all members of NATO. And every member will come to the aid in terms of military, in terms of economic, in terms of medical. Every aid will be given to that country and protect its sovereignty, integrity, and everything. So that is what the NATO is all about in a gist.
Super. Anybody wants to add? But it's an open house right now. I'm not.
Yeah.
I will love to add about this. As recently as 2015, the NATO also included Finland and some of the former USSR countries, such as Latvia, and also are applying this to Ukraine. Because Ukraine is moving towards the European Union, they are also inclined towards joining this NATO. As here, the mediator is USA for forming this. This is the real problem that is happening in that region.
बहुत बढ़िया. अच्छा, एक और to set the perspective, right? यार ये countries ने तो बोल दिया हम कुछ पंगा लेने नहीं वाले हैं. उसके अंदर ये आ चुका है कौन से थे यार जिन्होंने बोला हम कुछ नहीं करेंगे. हाँ, यूएस, यूरोप, जापान, कनाडा, यूके, राइट? इन लोगों ने भाई धमकी दे दी है कि भाई रशिया तू पंगा मत ले, और अगर तूने पंगा लिया हम इकोनॉमिक सैंक्शंस डिक्लेयर करेंगे.
Only sanctions.
But they actually won't do anything. This is also one of the biggest thing that the Nord Stream is a stream of the gas line and the LNG gas line, which is coming across the Europe from Germany. And if they somehow stop this stream of the LNG or the liquid natural gases, this will create a monopoly for the Arab countries, and thus the oil prices will just
coming back to the economic sanctions a bit. Coming back to the economic sanctions a bit.
Can't actually do anything, but can apply the economic sanctions. US also hasn't applied the full economic sanctions, sir. They have applied that.
Also, they have seized $1 trillion of the Russian Federation.
Absolutely not hesitate in doing this for the crude oils on the other sectors. Like they will allow this crude oil and other sectors to be free.
So this coming back to this economic sanctions point, I think Srinjoy put up a very important point of economic sanctions. The basic fundamental thing is economic sanctions are redundant concept in today's modern world. That is, otherwise it has been over 3 days, actually 5 days, because we should also consider the time when President Putin recognized the independence of the Donbas region. So considering from that time, because they started the putting economic sanctions from Monday itself, economic sanctions don't work because every country like Russia, China, and the big powers are already building their redundancies. Or if tomorrow, let's say US comes and says, Microsoft, you cannot allow any form of dealings or any kind of dealings, or Apple, you cannot do any kind of business with China and Russia. They have already got the redundancies in place. At least they're trying to put the redundancies in place. So even in fact, if you read the Hindu article today, India itself is trying to convince USSR and Russia and other countries to not deal in dollars, but actually use Indian rupee or the Indian currency, simply because they want to bypass that economic sanction route. India is already doing it with Iran. USA had already put economic sanctions on Iran, and it was not. Practically doesn't work. On paper, it looks very nice. Practically doesn't work.
I would like to add just 1 point, sir. During the 2012, the US Treasury investment, like the US Treasury bills are issued over in Russia for investing purpose in the loans on the terms of the US dollar. That was around 140 billion in 2012. And by 2019, it reduced to 4 billion. Like the Russian businessman also knew about that this war would happen. So I think this is a planned situation that has been
just for the benefit of everyone जो हमारे listeners है काफी, I think 150 और people हमें सुन रहे हैं अभी. भाई ये economic sanctions है कि कोई भी country कुछ ऐसे उल्टा पुल्टा करता है, war करता है, तो बोल देते हैं कि भाई हम तुम्हारे साथ काम यहाँ पे नहीं करेंगे, और धीरे धीरे sanctions लगते हैं जो कि रशिया को ऑलरेडी लग चुके हैं. इंडिया का प्ले हम बात करेंगे, इंडिया का कहाँ पे प्ले है वो भी काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है. बाय द वे, क्विक अपडेट ऑन द मैप. ये मैंने एक स्क्रीनशॉट लिया था यहाँ पे फ्रॉम अ वीडियो. तो भाई यहाँ तक प्लान कर रहे हैं पहुंचने के लिए. व्हाट डू यू गाइस थिंक? राधिका कहाँ तक जाने वाला है ये? पुतिन बोल रहे हैं अभी तक सिर्फ इतना अटैक करेगा, बिकॉज ये अच्छा भाई में इनकी किसी को स्टोरी पता है लुहांस्क का Donetsk? Anybody wants to add to this?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, means if you look about the regions, there are more number of Russian separatists, and Ukraine was not actually friendly to these regions, and the government support was not adequate. So what Russia did is that it did in Crimea also. It actually fueled the protest and tried to instigate a civil war. So these Russian-backed separatists are one of the major determinants which have helped Russia to actually attack. Because if you look over to the World War II also, no country wants to be in a position that attacks itself. It wants some kind of a impetus to attack, to establish itself in a global order, that I'm not doing a particular kind of thing due to my own interest, but for the global interest.
So basically adding like fuel to fire to its own advantage, Russia. And I think as far as we are concerned about the areas that Russia is going to capture, mostly economically viable areas, and at the same time weaker areas which Ukraine has lesser control over, I think.
There is some more thing to this Donbas region actually. So there some history lies there. So what happened was in 2014, till 2014, there was a government which was like pro-Russian, like it was kind of a puppet regime from Russia itself. So after the there was a need for loans that they needed. So there was an option to take it from EU or to take it from Russia. And the puppet regime, they took the Russian loan instead of joining EU. After that, there was some uprising there, and the president was ousted. And then after that, in retaliation, Crimea was annexed, and also this Donbas region, the Luhansk and Donetsk. They were the separatists who said that we want to, we are not more like Ukraine, we are more Russian. And they started this that was the start of this whole conflict that we are actually facing right now.
I would love to also add one point, sir. Here in the Moldova region, there is a part that is called Transnistria, which is also has been recognized by Russia as an independent country itself. Although it's a part of Moldova. Moldova claims itself that this is a part of our country. But this Transnistria was actually a part of the USSR, and even the times when the 1917 revolution came, this was a huge part amongst the Russian Revolution because it has a lot of heavy industry in it.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बाय द वे ये भी बात हो रही है कि पुतिन का ये स्टार्ट होने वाला है, इज गोना स्टार्ट एनेक्सिंग ऑल द पॉसिबल कंट्री जो पहले रशिया के अंदर गोना अटैक एवरीथिंग, इसके बारे में लोगों को डर है. बाय द वे अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं थोड़ी वॉर की. कोई तुम में से कोई ऐसे प्रो वॉर तो नहीं कि भाई हाँ मार दो फाड़ दो तोड़ दो टाइप? एनीवन?
नो सर,
पक्का कोई नहीं?
तो डेफिनेटली
बहुत बढ़िया. चलो भाई, बाय द वे अगर वॉर होती भी है ना यूक्रेन की, जिनको लग रहा है कोई रहा है जिसको खबर नहीं है, हाँ भाई कौन जीतेगा चैट के अंदर बताओ, जो ऐसे लिख रहा है कि भाई यूक्रेन जीतेगा. 4 times more army personnel Russia has than UK, 5 times more number of tanks, और सिर्फ 98 हेलीकॉप्टर्स हैं बेचारे गरीब यूक्रेन के पास. ठीक है.
Also sir, if you have looked over the period which
but like as of now, arms and ammunitions worth around $300 million. So Biden has ordered, instructed to supply those to Ukraine. As of now, the news that has just come.
Yes, but what I think
it just provide a little bit of support, but yeah, something.
Till the US weapons reach there, it will be more of a Russian won the part of Kyiv. They are saying that today or till tomorrow, Kyiv will be captured by Russia, as most of them are being surrounded by three of the surrounding areas to them. Like Belarus is one of them. Crimea is from the southern, and the eastern is the Donbas region. So they are more strategically powered right now. And till the aid comes, I think more of a thing, there will nothing be left to be aided.
I think we are one war which we are all missing over here is a perception war. When the Russian President Putin started the war, he said that he is denazifying and trying to remove the drug lords. And
also
I think that was the biggest irony, because the Ukrainian president himself is a Jew. And his grandfather fought against the Nazis, against Hitler. But by staying back, unlike the Afghanistan president who simply just abandoned his country and flew over, he stayed back. Even he denied the US's help of who was trying to evacuate him. He stayed back and he said that till the end, I am with the country. The defense minister is here, the prime minister is here, the president is here. I think he put out a video also.
His exact words. His exact words were,
people perception is with him. That
Right.
is in modern day, the not just the boots on ground, it's the perception war, the social media war that is going to count as well. And that is
Yeah.
where I think he's winning.
ये सारे
winning.
IIM वाले बंदे मुझे भी नहीं बोलने दे रहे यार, ये प्रॉब्लम। पहले तो इनको पढ़ाओ लिखाओ और फिर मतलब खुद ही
Also,
Alright,
sir,
now
one more
exactly-
point.
The good-
Economic sanctions का ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, because if you have seen over the period, Russia has started to accumulate more of a gold and is planning to more of a trade in gold reserves, so that the US sanctions will be of no use more of a like.
Yeah. Soumyadeep, do you want to talk about a little bit about Ukrainian president? क्या लगता है तेरे को?
I can. I have a whole bio of him written in my book right now.
Done है, चल गुप्ता या Soumyadeep, whoever wants to start. Yeah.
Yeah,
थोड़ा
you-
बताओ भाई।
He started his comedy channel Kavartal 95 in 2003 after completing his law.
अच्छा।
He acted as a president in a 2015 show called Servant of the People, which got so. This is like a movie. This is like a total movie. What has happened with the president of Ukraine? Then he went on. That show became so popular. The show named Servant of the People, that he made a party named Servant of the People, ran for elections on the basis that he will shut down corruption, and he won it with 73% majority.
क्या बात है।
और ये
Actually, one of
biggest
the
point is
things
ये
that,
2019 में जीता है, और to think that in 2022 वो वहाँ पे खड़ा हुआ, he's saying that I will stay in my country and die, I die with my soldier, is a very big thing. Like अफगानिस्तान के president पहले मौके पे भाग गया था वहाँ से।
भाई मैं ना सुपर चैट को एंटरटेन नहीं करूं, पर 40 रुपए आए तुम 8 लोगों के लिए, तो मैं एंटरटेन नहीं करता हूं, बट ठीक है, हम उसकी चाय पियेंगे सारे लोग, वो भी घर पे बनानी पड़ेगी। बट क्वेश्चन आया कि whom do you support, रशिया और यूएस? हाँ भैया बताइए।
So this is not a T20 match. This is not a cricket match where we support
Can't
one.
support only one. You know, diplomatic relations are in the play right now.
Right.
Most of the
Can't
thing I
support
support is
Russia or
national
India.
interest, which is gonna be majorly stakeholder for India. Like we have 60 to 65% defense coming from Russia as well, so we can't deny that.
इंडिया की बात करते हैं, वेरी गुड भाई। इंडिया का क्या हाल होने वाला है? नाउ इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक, पीपल आर ऑन द चैट एज वेल। भाई नीचे तुम्हें अपने कमेंट करो, मैं तुम्हारी चैट पढ़ रहा हूँ, मेरे सामने खुली हुई है। इंडिया का पार्ट क्या है भाई? पहली बात तो इंडिया की दिक्कत, मैं ये सेशन आज क्यों कर रहा हूँ, आई वाज मूव्ड, आई मेट माय टीम हियर इन दिल्ली, आई एम इन दिल्ली राइट नाउ, एंड आई मेट 6 ऑफ माय टीममेट्स, उसमें से एक बंदी है जिसका वेरी क्लोज फ्रेंड, अराउंड 6 ऑफ देम दे आर स्टक इन यूक्रेन, और वो बंदी रो पड़ी क्योंकि वो जिस दिन वो फ्लाइट लेके आने पड़े थे उस दिन ही अटैक हुआ, 2 दिन पुरानी बात है। एंड आफ्टर दैट यू नो दे नॉट, उसमें एक बंदा लॉस्ट भी है बाय द वे, they're Indian kids. The 25,000 Indian students who are sitting inside Ukraine right now, what government of India is doing for that, बहुत बुरे हाल है। Around 258 odd people who have been evacuated so far, बाकी मुझे नंबर पता नहीं,
like one of my acquaintances, she's a medical student in like KNMU Ukraine, and she's stuck, and she just shared a video. They're like living in bunkers which are there in their hostels, and the bunkers are in pathetic condition with limited food supply, and they're asking for help, but we sitting here can't do anything but just share those videos. So you know, that is really something we need to be, you know, more supportive, but sitting here we can't.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। चलो, keeping emotions out of it, we are all MBA students in here, keeping emotions out of it, let's talk about India का क्या हाल है भाई। पहली बात तो इंडिया का अलग अलग स्टैट्स हैं, अराउंड कोई बोल रहा है 50% ऑफ आवर इक्विपमेंट इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट फॉर द आर्मी इक्विपमेंट्स दे कम फ्रॉम रशिया, और एक और जगह मैं पढ़ रहा था, वहां पे लिखा होता 85% ऑफ द एम्यूनिशन व्हाट वी यूज राइट नाउ, एम्यूनिशन इज अगेन फ्रॉम रशिया। तो भाई इंडिया पंगा लेगा नहीं लेगा, मोदी जी को क्या करना चाहिए, ये इंपॉर्टेंट डिस्कशन है।
I think India would be something pro, means slightly pro-Russian.
Chatterjee, I am Bangalore, हाँ बताइए।
So sir, it's a very difficult, like there is a historical landscape here that India has to play this tightrope where you can't take any sides actually. So when previously when wars happened, like Pakistan war and China war, at these times Russia was only an ally of India, and they came to Indian support, and at that time even US was also on the opposition side and were trying to use their naval force to attack India. So
let me interrupt you. India China war के अंदर रशिया was supporting whom, पता है?
India
Nobody.
support कर रहा है.
You can nobody.
No, they were supporting China.
No. Russia was supporting China. Even the
China.
Russian president delayed the delivery of airplanes to India.
Yes. Nobody knows that. But उसने
Yes.
message दिया.
Actually, बहुत sneaky था Russia उसका.
बहुत sneaky था, ये लोगों को पता नहीं है. He said that Chinese are my brothers. I'll help my Chinese brothers.
Exactly.
Indians are my friends.
बहुत गलत
You know,
And he
perception है कि
delayed
India
the
को help
delivery
करो.
of the critical ammunitions, critical airplanes, critical, and that is perhaps why the line of actual control is so much into the Jammu and Kashmir area and we couldn't push back. So just blindly trusting one nation is a very childish approach in
But
modern
that was
diplomatic
actually a
situation.
But like
retaliation
China
of
is
by the
reverting in the
Russians.
same way now. China is
India
supporting
supported
Russia.
the Hungary in the 1956 when the revolution came at Hungary to oust from the USSR region, and they declared that the then Hungary won't be a part of this communist regime, which was a Jawaharlal Nehru, I think, had been too hard upon, but taking stand has advantage because we also signed Panchshil, and as India is a democratic country and has always been against the imperialism which is being done by Putin right now, we should actually take the stand and should be supporting Ukraine.
Sir, I would like
Sir, I would like to
to
differ on
counter
the
that.
issue.
So just I would like to counter that. Nowhere India has like deliberately said that it is against imperialism, it is against something like that. Otherwise, why would India be today dealing with Vietnam, which only last year did a military coup and deposed of their democratically elected government, but still India is dealing with Vietnam. India is still dealing with Taliban, which is currently ruling Afghanistan. So taking a hardline position in modern diplomatic situation is a very redundant idea. You have
we'll
to.
talk
But
further.
Yes,
a
sir.
bigger nation is not capturing here a smaller country. That is what imperialism is.
Okay,
Yes,
just before that,
the problem with the military coups are there in Vietnam, and that I agree with you. But the thing is that India hasn't supported US when the US tried to capture Vietnam
मुझे
during the
मुझे ऐसी
Saigon
फील आ रही
War.
है मुझे ऐसी फील आ रही है मतलब मैं डिबेटर हूँ ये भाई मॉडरेटर है
नहीं सर नहीं सर
ठीक है नहीं एक मिनट ये थांबा थांबा अच्छा चैट के अंदर बहुत कुछ आग लगी हुई है मेरे को देखने दो और अच्छा क्वेश्चन का एक ही आंसर देना है विल गो राउंड बाय राउंड आई मीन इंडिया को क्या करना है इंडिया छोड़ो मोदी जी को क्या करना चाहिए क्योंकि अखबार में खबर पड़ी है मोदी जी सुनेंगे नहीं मोदी जी का फैसला पुतिन सुनेंगे मुझे उसका आंसर चाहिए था
सर आई थिंक पहली प्रायोरिटी है कि अपने सिटीजन्स को एयरलिफ्ट करो वहां
नंबर वन अपने सिटीजन को एयरलिफ्ट करो अभी 200 लोग हैं 25,000 लोग हैं उसमें से मेरे
everything else can wait the diplomacy can wait first we have to like Radhika said about her friend who are suffering in those under facilitated bunkers I think first priority is कि किसी की साइड वाइड बाद में देखेंगे क्या करना है वो फेक सैंक्शंस लगते
And I think that's only the
on
thing
a humanitarian ground
doing.
and not thinking about the economy we should firstly
Modi ji is also doing that. If we see, he has talked to Putin as well. He has talked to Ukrainian president as well about all those things. And his main priority is to evacuate the students. He has also been, issued this point in the UNSC Council that our first priority will be evacuating the students right now who is stuck there.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल ओके एनीथिंग एल्स सौम्यजी चटर्जी मोदी को क्या करना चाहिए यूक्रेन को सपोर्ट करे रशिया को सपोर्ट करे पहला पॉइंट इज इवैक्यूएशन टेकन वी आर समराइजिंग थॉट और मैं चैट पढ़ता हूं फटाफट सर लग रहा है रिपब्लिक टीवी देख रहे हैं हाँ हमारे पास अरिंदम है उसका नाम श्रिंजो है यहाँ पे बताइए भाई
Actually, taking sides is not like it has still not come the time where India absolutely has to take a side because
मेरा क्वेश्चन डिप्लोमेटिक आंसर नहीं तुम मोदी जी को क्या मैसेज देना चाहते हो एज अ लर्नड एजुकेटेड इंडियन सिटीजन तो मुझे क्या लग रहा है क्योंकि वी आर स्टक राइट नाउ एक को हेल्प करने जाएंगे तो अपनी यहाँ से लग रही है और रशिया से अपने को कल को चाइना के साथ पंगा होता है तो हमारे आर्म्स मतलब इंडिया विल लूज द वॉर
should I say something I think that firstly we should help ourselves we should help our citizens and then only we can decide like once we have airlifted all those students then only we can decide like what should be our next step
sir I have one other
I think कि support का point बहुत facetious है because देखो USB is ready to support Ukraine they are imposing all those sanctions that are technically worthless not to be too blunt but they are worthless we all know that His support ka point is too far away. We don't need to tell Modi.
So in between all of this, what we are losing out also on is that there is a casualty on both sides. So doesn't mean that India has to support Russia or Ukraine, but if India go after airlifting its citizens or removing its citizens, if India goes in with medical aid any war will have casualties on both sides, and both sides, both Russia and Ukraine, will have wounded soldiers, will have soldiers who are terminally ill or on deathbed and will need help. So I think medical aid is the second thing, as you were counting down. After the first one, the second one should be the prioritization of medical aid and aiding like the Red Cross, the all other the global organizations that are. India should help them and ensure that medical aid is available
Let me give you,
to the
let me give you
people.
one, let me give you a hypothetical situation for everyone. You are United Nations, ठीक है? What would you do? मैं भी एक judge था, एक Delhi based business school का DB करके, so for turncoat, so I'm just trying to turncoat. यार ये stop कैसे करे पुतिन को? पुतिन को स्टॉप करने का तरीका पावरफुल कंट्रीज ने बोल दिया इकोनॉमिक भाई हम तेरा करेंगे, पर पुतिन इज द वन क्रेजी फेलो, you know him, right?
Yeah, he's like a mad nationalist, radical person. Radical.
Yes, sir.
पता नहीं मेरी
But the thing is, Putin also had some demands before he started this war. Like
Exactly.
he wanted some guarantees that NATO
that
will not be
not-
again, Eastern expansion won't happen, and US won't support Ukraine. These kinds of things were there. He waited for some time that these guarantees will be provided to him, and when it did not come to fruition, then only he said that okay, now I need to take up arms and I need to show my military
So
strength
maybe
again
that
here.
brings us
what I
back to
think
square
so-
one, right? That does bring us back to square one. Why did he didn't want NATO? Because he wanted this whole. He's that romantic idea of that Russian empire. That brings us back to square one. NATO
But
is
that's not a romantic idea. It's like you have a army force right at your doorstep, like the
Right,
China case
right.
here. So if it's right at your doorstep, you will always be threatened, right? So
यूनाइटेड
it's only
नेशंस हैव सेड ये अगर होगा वॉर और एक दो कंट्री और इसमें आ जाएंगी तो इट्स गोना बी 50,000 people are going to be dying and it should be bigger than World War II, ठीक है?
That's the
1944.
potential.
Yes.
हाँ भाई, अब बताओ मुझे आंसर, इसको रोकने के लिए क्या करना चाहिए? इंडिया तो तुम बोल रहे हो अभी कुछ नहीं करना है, हमें अपने
Sir,
लोग
I think
Sir,
best
what I
of
think is
diplomacy,
we have to
diplomacy.
sir,
That's it.
compromisation.
discussion table again.
Diplomacy is the only
Sir,
idea.
first of all, there should be a massive protest in the people, and they should actually, the people of Russia should know it, as there has been the propaganda machine of the Putin that has been put in for the past 2 decades, which is also more dangerous than the Indian media that we have and the 9 p.m. shows that we have.
कोई अरिंदम नहीं, क्या नाम है उसका?
Enjoy.
नहीं, ये तो शिंजो है, वो ओरिजिनल वाला जो
Arunab, my bad.
Sir, मेरा नाम क्यों खराब कर रहे हो?
Arnab Goswami.
By the way, Russian people say that जितना न्यूज अभी तक आया है, they say that पुतिन ने बोला ये हम अपनी सिक्योरिटी के लिए कर रहे हैं, और भाई और बोल रहा है कि यूक्रेन अटैक कर रहा है हमारे
Sir, to think कि रशिया के people को प्रोटेस्ट करने से पुतिन को फर्क पड़ेगा is a very
it just says that we
economic
are in
sanction is
defense.
not helping.
We are acting in
Should be there
defense,
that
it
not
says.
the
It's a
entire country
communist
is
country.
behind him. As
It's
I
a
said,
communist
perception
country,
war
yeah.
is important. It is you go in and you put a puppet government inside. I understand that, but if there is a difference between the entire country supporting your president and just a small percentage of oligarchs and the top 10% of people supporting your president. So if, just like Sringjoy mentioned, if the entire nation is protesting, if all, like in India, there have been protests outside the Russian embassy, in Japan, in US, in France, in all of the countries. This perception is important that the entire world is not supporting this war. It doesn't matter who is the aggressor, who is the proposer, who is the opponent. That doesn't matter. War itself should stop, and that motive, that upheaval should come from the people itself. That will come through protest. That is
This
what
is
protest
lovely.
is
We can
important.
keep talking. 216 लोग चैट के अंदर हो चुके हैं, 1 मिनट के लिए थांबा। अब भाई स्ट्रीम को लाइक ठोकिए फटाफट, हम बस पार्टिंग थॉट्स देने वाले हैं। भाई एवरीबॉडी यू कैन जस्ट से वन लाइन योर पार्टिंग थॉट्स ऑन इट। बट एक और एक चीज बताना चाहता हूँ, इंडिया के लिए रशिया बहुत जरूरी है, ठीक है? एज आई सेड, सम स्टैट्स से 80% ऑफ आवर आर्मेशन इज देयर। हमारी जो ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल है ना, ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल,
Yes,
Even
sir.
the
The
S400
Brahmo
Brahmaputra
collaboration.
and Mosaba.
Coming from
उसका
there,
नाम है
right?
ब्रह्मपुत्र और दूसरा क्या मोस्कोवा, है ना? एक हमारी रिवर और एक रशिया की रिवर।
Russia.
इसमें मोदी जी करेंगे फिंगर ऑन द लिप्स, ताकि हमारा चाइना के जब पंगा होगा तो भाई उसने बचाने आना है।
Also, like
Also,
trade is
sir-
getting affected now, so
Also, sir,
can't
US
say
has
anything right
supported
now.
the stance, saying that India has a strategic relationship with Russia, and we understand that. So also, United States is also supporting this stance of us.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। अच्छा बाय द वे और बड़े सारे इफेक्ट्स होने वाले हैं, पेट्रोल प्राइसेस बढ़ने वाले हैं,
Stock market crash.
Stock market is already crashed.
वो तो हम डिस्कस भी करेंगे।
India का market actually बहुत volatile है, तो it's not worth discussing.
इंडिया का मार्केट
डिस्कशन खत्म नहीं होगा
राइट नाउ।
वो डिस्कशन खत्म ही नहीं होगा आपका।
मतलब लास्ट 2 दिन मेरा जो मार्केट फ्लक्चुएट हुआ तो मैं क्या बताऊं, वो हम ऑफ टॉपिक डिस्कस करेंगे स्टॉक मार्केट। उत्कर्ष, एनी पार्टिंग थॉट्स टू ऑल दीस पीपल? I'll ask you one by one and we're going to let this guy 215 लोग हमारी बातें सुन रहे हैं। और भाई people are commenting on the chat as well। भाई नीचे मुझे बताएंगे, ग्रेट कन्वर्सेशन, बहुत सारे फीडबैक, अपना फीडबैक दिए और कमेंट करके बताइएगा। ये सब MBA स्टूडेंट्स हैं यहाँ पे और सब IIM टॉपर हैं। मैं इनको पढ़ा रहा था आज 9 से 10, 10 से 11। मैंने बोला चलो आ जाओ अपन बात करते हैं एंड वी आर हैविंग लॉट ऑफ फन। कमेंट करके अपना थॉट दीजिए, विल डू द डिस्कशंस और इनको भी बोलूंगा कि ये भी आपकी कमेंट्स को रिप्लाई करें। उत्कर्ष, एनी पार्टिंग थॉट्स? तेरा क्या है भाई?
Yes, sir. Sir, as we all discussed, means the immediate thing is to actually help us, help our minutes. So what I'm thinking is the long-term view, because if we support, means if somebody supports Russia and what their view is to make a USSR, so they are actually promoting communism. So if you're promoting Russia, then downgrading US. So what would happen is the leadership would somewhere go into the wrong hands that would actually try to invade everything.
Good one. Good one. Shinjoy, parting thoughts, short
Yes.
one. Fatapat.
Russia has always been a part of the imperialistic culture, as they have always captured regions like Dagestan, Tunava, and other states, and imposing their culture on the of Russian culture on them. So I think this Ukraine would also might get captured. I hope it doesn't get captured. But if it does, it would be a major catastrophe in the 21st century of this.
बहुत बढ़िया। गुप्ता।
सर मेरा तो बस एक ही पॉइंट है, लाइक आफ्टर एवरीथिंग दैट हैज हैपेंड, टू बी ऑनेस्ट कोई भी कंट्री के पास इतना पावर एट द मोमेंट नहीं है टू स्टॉप रशिया लाइक विद फोर्स। दैट्स माय पॉइंट, क्योंकि इफ एनीथिंग हैपेंस, कोई भी किसी ने भी इतना सा भी फोर्स अप्लाई किया, इट गोज न्यूक्लियर एंड we all know when things go nuclear, right? My point is the only way this can be solved is with diplomacy. And I don't think that's going to happen right now. What I think, this is my own personal opinion. You can quote me on this. I think Ukraine is going to get invaded. US will keep imposing its useless sanctions and all. Ukraine will get invaded. Nobody is going to do anything about it. India will keep mum. We will airlift our people. I think our government is capable of that, at least.
India will keep mum.
No, India will keep mum, definitely.
Yes.
Because अभी तक भी सर क्यों ही बोलेंगे हम कुछ?
देख ले, रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, अपन चेक करेंगे आगे। ठीक है, I'll come back to चैटर्जी। क्या बोलता है भाई? चैटर्जी, आई एम बैंगलोर, आई एम लखनऊ, बोलो भाई।
इसमें सर there is an alternate view against the invasion. Like invasion is happening, but there is an alternate view that I was reading about today, that it might not want to take Ukraine, but it actually might want another puppet regime to be installed there in Ukraine, so that it can have the assurances and the guarantees that it initially wanted when it started this invasion and this aggression towards Ukraine. So that might be the end game, rather than reconstructing USSR and that kind of a regime. I think that might be at play here.
बहुत बढ़िया। सोहम जान भाई।
Yes, sir. So my thing, sir, first thing will be the evacuation of students. Second thing, if we can, solve this problem through diplomacy and some compromises between Ukraine and Russia, then I think India will be, it's not far to say that India will be a super emerging powerful nations, because India till now was not in a position to, in such a strategic key role player in any of the wars. So I think if we can solve this thing, India, its impact in the longer term will be a very massive, and that's thing which will help India grow in the longer term, sir.
Brilliant, that's amazing. Radhika Soni, parting thoughts?
Sir, I think that firstly we should help ourselves. Our economy is starving right now because tea is not being exported, which is around 80% of the exports for tea from India. And also right now we should keep mum and trace the actions of Russia and Ukraine. Also, like China has come out in support of Russia. So I think that we should trace some actions of different countries and how they are going about it. So then we can decide upon our actions.
I am little bit against it, diplomacy. मुझे लगता है इतने strong leader हैं अपन लोग।
What I think is
armaments नहीं है। मुझे just I'll give you a chance. यार मतलब war जब हो रहा है ना और world war की तरफ जा रहे हैं, and India becomes super powerful, we've got so much nation, ये वो करके, and at least we should be in the game, taking sides. See, I personally feel end of the day ये सारी countries के अगर बंदे मिले ना, प्राइम मिनिस्टर, इनको 3 दिन गोवा में बिठाओ सारे दिनों को, you know, chai ki baat kar-
Exactly.
So that is
But I
actually makes
think
sense.
that
That actually
you
makes
know,
sense.
we
Yes.
have to be diplomatic for some
Sir-
time, and then we can, you know, take an action against
Yeah,
that.
it's
Sir,
all people. It's all people. They're human beings. They are end of the day.
It's just the ego.
Just
Yeah.
the
Yes, sir.
ego. Just the
If this
ego.
goes on, we'll have to take some action. That is for sure.
मुझे तो see, I was in Kashmir like recently, like around 3 weeks back, and I spent like around 10-14 days, and I was talking to Kashmiris up there. So end of the day, see, I feel Imran Khan and Modi ji चाय इकट्ठे पीते होंगे शाम को, you know, like chill है यार, chill है. But these things keep on going on because जब election होना होता है तब कुछ ना कुछ गड़बड़ होती है. Anyway, that is India scene. We can keep talking. तो भाई ये बहुत ही amazing debate चल रही है. बहुत सारे लोग 218 लोग हमारे पास हैं. भाई जिनको reply बहुत सारे लोग यहाँ पे कमेंट भी कर रहे हैं. मैं आपको कमेंट नीचे कमेंट करके जाना, चैट के अंदर भी आ रहे हैं. Arindam, any parting thoughts to all these great to all the discussion?
So just because right now India is sitting on the fences and not taking an active side, an active part in the war between the two nations, it doesn't mean that India cannot play a very active role. As you mentioned, we are firstly evacuating our citizens, but as I also mentioned, we should follow up with medical aid, with all kinds of other aid that will be required. Even whatever government comes in Ukraine, I hope the current government prevails, but whatever comes, it is going to need economic help because it is going to rebuild that way. So just because we are not handing out guns doesn't mean that we cannot hand out other helping hand in its place.
Superb. Anyway, so UN has said 50,000 people are going to die, and people on the chat are saying, "ये अभिषेक गुप्ता तो रशिया के पॉजिटिव है, बोल रहा है यूक्रेन तो जाएगा बेटा." और ये
सर मैं सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहा हूँ. I'm just talking fact कि जो देख रहा हूँ.
Practical, right? Being practical.
I'm just being practical. रशिया को क्यों support
In that
करूँगा?
view, like Emmanuel Macron has declared that this is going towards a world war. So we
It
have
has
to
a
be practical
potential,
about
right?
it.
It has a potential.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Emmanuel Macron has an election in 2-3 months, so his word should be taken with a pinch of salt.
बिल्कुल. Anyway, thank you so much. So I think discussion हमारा आ गया है और मोदी जी का फैसला जो होगा वही पुतिन मानेंगे और
ये हाईलाइट होना चाहिए.
ये हाईलाइट होना चाहिए.
ये पेपर उनको भेजना
Just like Modi ji being practical and the Indian media being super practical right now.
Indian media यार हर समय super practical. Let's just not talk about Indian media. It will take whole another day. Whole another
Let's
month.
not go that way now.
It's like
Yeah, we can
actually copying the Russian media right now.
बिल्कुल. Anyway, thank you so much for joining in, boys and girls. People are listening to us on the chat buttons as well. Thanks, Utkarsh. They all are. They've got some kind of IIM calls here. Somidi, Bangalore, Lucknow, and Radhika. Teri calls दिख नहीं रही. कौन सी calls है तेरी?
IIM CAP and IFT, SIBM
क्या
and
बात
4
है.
IMI.
बहुत बढ़िया. तो सर ये सब इंशाल्लाह इनकी ये आपको ज्ञान दे रहे हैं. कई लोग 2023 वाले 12th standard वाले भी सुन रहे हैं. And I wish them all the best in their calls. Inshallah convert करके. Hope you're having a good time.
Also because of Sir and Sir's guidance that we are getting all these calls.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes,
sir.
Your guidance is of utmost importance.
अरे नहीं कहाँ. But overall, channel was helpful over CATKing courses and all.
Sir, the most
Yes, sir,
helpful
very
thing
good.
was your
Most
energy, the
helpful.
kind of
Most
energy that
helpful.
you brought with you. It
Like
was
these
Real learning,
discussions
sir.
that happen. These
We are
discussions are
already
very
in a real
helpful, right?
learning situation.
Yeah,
कुछ नहीं समझा. चार
this
लोग
is a
इकट्ठे बोलते
this
हैं.
is a very good example, like what we are doing right now of CATKing.
Yes, sir.
Whenever
Our
we
calls
feel
and
low,
converts are
just tune on the
thing.
CATKing.com or YouTube channel. You will be motivated like hell.
24/7 on CATKing YouTube
that's
channel and the
actually
kind of
true.
energy that
That sir brings into
he
his
has.
classes. Yeah.
अरे चैटर्जी भी कुछ बोल रहा था. चैटर्जी.
हाँ सर, आपका मैं बस YouTube चैनल फॉलो करता था like during my CAT preparation time, and it was really helpful. Like you had really good insights about the preparation.
चलो थैंक यू. तुम लोग कॉल्स कन्वर्ट करो. आई एम किसो तुम्हें दोबारा यहाँ पे लेके आएंगे एंड विल कीप किलिंग. थैंक्स फॉर जॉइनिंग इन बॉयज एंड गर्ल्स. टेक केयर एंड पीपल ऑन द चैट. थैंक्स फॉर लिसनिंग बाय. 200 लोग हमारे साथ अभी भी जुड़े हुए हैं. विल कीप डूइंग सच सेशंस एंड थैंक्स यार. विल गेट ऑन द कॉल सून यार. थैंक्स एवरीवन. हैव अ गुड नाइट.
Good night,
बाय.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
रुको